Ladies and gentlemen, moving on to our next contest, please welcome the first fighter to enter the cage, Calvin Reynolds.
Calvin Reynolds in the house, and a very exciting, wild, kickboxing-based martial artist. I've seen this guy fight in boxing and K1 before, and Dean, as tough as they come. Guy fighting out of Team Vendetta on this occasion, 3-2 here in MMA. And Calvin got a chin that you wouldn't believe, Dean. Always in an exciting fight. The type of athlete who's always coming forward. He only knows one direction.
Calvin Reynolds bringing some brutal power to the table. The physicality of him is deceptive. There is some insane power in his right straight, so watch out for that in this fight.
And he loves a war, Dean. That's the perfect ingredient for an exciting MMA fight.
Rock always bringing the best fighters to the platform here, springboarding them, the rise of the champions in the making indeed in Calvin Reynolds. Very exciting prospect.
Taking on another young fighter, this one though at a catch weight at 87 kilograms. Never mind the weight issues though. Calvin here to win fans tonight and show off why he's been heralded as one of the most exciting on this roster.
The second fighter making his way to the cage, Alvin Chirilla.
Alvin Chirilla, 1-0 out of Team Titan. A very, very dangerous guy. You can see it in his eyes the way he walks down that ramp, Dean.
Very focused, almost a smirk on his face. He's happy to be here. Coming from a pedigree from Team Titan. Brad Pickett at the helm, as we already know, an absolute stable of fighters there, have got to inspire immense confidence, and he's showing that on the walkout.
We see, look over at the corner, Reynolds, he's grooving out and rocking right now. He loves every minute of this one too, and that's what I think makes this the perfect ingredients. Back though to Mr. Alvin Chirilla. He's gonna go out there and I think look for a quick one tonight, Dean. The sort of intelligence factor, if you will, of this fight would suggest that as the rounds go deeper, Calvin being so tough to finish, you want to take it to him early, and I think that's what Alvin Chirilla is going to go out there and try to do tonight, Dean.
They're both going to come to a head, look for the heavy punches to land on the inside. Let's see who tastes the power and opts for the takedown.
Ladies and gentlemen, this next contest is a Rise of Champions catchweight fight. Introducing these two warriors. The fighter standing in the blue corner. He weighed in at 86.3 kilograms. He represents Team Vendetta. He is Calvin Reynolds. And standing across the cage in the red corner, he weighed in at 85.5 kilograms. He represents Team Titan. From Romania, Alvin Chirilla. Your referee in charge of the action is Sam Almeida.
Out of the red corner in this one, 87 kilograms, catch weight affair. Alvin Chirilla, 1-0 out of Team Titan in London, taking on Calvin Reynolds from Team Vendetta.
Chirilla with a big leg kick on the outside, nice double-legged attempt. Some nice body shots on the inside from Chirilla, looking for the takedown.
And Reynolds certainly very eager to defend that grappling devastation that we've seen from Chirilla before. He's so top-heavy, Dean, so controlling.
Excellent wrestling skills, looking for the inside of the leg of Reynolds there, dropping down.
The Romanian doing a great job earlier of sticking to him like glue. Reynolds trying to push down on that head, try to open up some space here. Reynolds 3-2, certainly the edge in the experience, but Chirilla in probably, arguably, one of the most impressive wrestling rooms in the country, week in and week out, Dean, at Team Titan.
But we know Calvin Reynolds has been working his takedown defense up against the cage and indeed in the fight as a whole. Let's see if he's got what it takes. He's stuffing the head really well. But Churilla is such a powerful man. He's able to drive through, looking to suck the hips away from the cage. Reynolds, great balance and dexterity in putting his feet back on the mat.
And Mr. Churilla, though, really showing off some stick-with-itness right here. Ultra committed and eventually is able to get his man all the way to the mat, Dean.
Early on in the round, not a lot of sweat or blood factors, so the slip value is less. So we might see some clean passes. And indeed, the submissions are harder to get because the slip value is going to help you in there. So Reynolds off his back is going to have to work out of this position.
Churilla, though, working very methodically here, lighting him up there to the rib cage with his right hand.
Happy to pin him up against the cage. Look for him to push his hips forward when he can pop his head out and land some punches. Reynolds looking to stand up.
And that's what I love about this guy. He's always in the fight. I've seen him 2-3 rounds deep, clearly losing a decision and win. So he's the type of guy who's very dangerous and always in the fight.
Big swings from both of these fighters. Oh, big takedown there from Churilla. Slams Reynolds to the mat. Reynolds was able to get off on his feet, but not for long. Churilla here looking to pass to the mount. Reynolds tying up that leg, the right leg of Churilla, very well.
And sliding into mount there, working that right knee across the body. And the shoulder pressure there in that cross-face position, no doubt, paying dividends, Dean.
Excellent balance from Churilla on the top. Reynolds tried to buck and turn there, and Churilla just shifted his weight over to his right and then back straight onto the mount. He's happy to sit here, but he needs to be busy in these positions as the round ends.
Oh, and not a happy camper there is Calvin. A late punch, a punch right there at the bell. But never mind that. Clearly an inadvertent foul, if any. It was all about the action throughout that round, Dean. Talk us through it.
Beautiful action in the round. A lot of wrestling there from Alan Churilla. Reynolds defending off the back, was able finally to get away, but couldn't get enough shots on because Churilla is showing he's throwing powerful shots which make Reynolds think twice about coming in and committing, which is a great tactic on Churilla. Reynolds needs to employ the sprawl and brawl factor, the old school Val Tudo day. You strike and you keep those hips nice and low and stop the takedown and circle out the way.
Round one in the books. Round two here on tap. And we are at it here in London tonight. Churilla, though, absolutely eager to get a hold of those legs and possibly try to work his right leg in or out for a trip here.
Interesting tactic by Reynolds there. He almost ran straight into Churilla, knowing that Churilla wants the takedown, gave it to him, and as he's stuck up against the cage, back in this position, he needs to start working that whizzer, forcing the head away of Churilla.
Reynolds, no doubt, trying to really get things going and light the fire here in this round, given the patterns of what was set in the previous.
Nice striking from Reynolds there, looking to decisively land some punches. He can't commit too much though, because if Churilla's able to time it and duck underneath those punches, they're able to secure the takedown.
Vicious kicks there from Churilla. And a murderous right hand. Churilla the Gorilla, a total powerhouse here at the Rise of Champions. Man, that's a scary dude to be in there with, Dean.
What's astounding is he's still happy to trade on the outside. He's showing his power. He's showing those looping punches that you can't sleep on. You can't leave your head too high, like Reynolds has done, and unfortunately not put his hips back down to defend this takedown. Again up against the cage, Churilla working for the takedown. Creating a bit of spaces there. Reynolds is able to come off the cage quite well. Let's see if he can work these punches on the outside and not commit. Brilliant stuff there by Reynolds.
And great stuff there being shown from both fighters on the outside. And I would feel that this is where Calvin Reynolds wants things to be. He throws shots from the hip, firing like one of those old school Western gunslingers. But he's got to throw combinations here, Dean. So single punches that are not going to be enough.
Needs to throw punches and bunches and then finish with a nice power shot and circle off. He needs to think twice about throwing the kicks too close, because Churilla will come in and secure that leg. And he's doing the right thing here, Chris. He's circling out there.
Because Churilla is going to move very much in the same direction once he ducks his head and tries to get in on you. And the key thing for Reynolds would be is try to time that and avoid that.
Nice lead hand jabs there by Reynolds, gauging the distance. Eats a big overhand right there from Churilla. Doesn't phase Reynolds though.
But would you look at the chin? Absolutely molded of iron from Calvin Reynolds. And Churilla booting his leg there with the kicks. Reynolds with a nice timed overhand right though. 10 seconds on the clock. Churilla though is like an angry rhino the way that guy charges in on you, Dean.
Reynolds doing some great counter-punching techniques. Definitely learning throughout this fight, adapting his game, using the tools in his arsenal, but he really needs to start thinking about creating angles and then catching Churilla on the way in.
And for Churilla, it would be more of the same, really, wouldn't it, Dean?
Churilla needs to come back in, set up the shots, perhaps throw a few kicks, but keep his hands up. When he throws kicks, puts his hands down and enables Reynolds to counter over the top, which can be dangerous if there's some power behind it, and we know Calvin Reynolds possesses that power.
Catch weight affair here at 87 kilos. Chris Hoekstra calling it here at the Rise of Champions. My partner is always Dean Midhat, and it's Reynolds. In this case, certainly another eager start, but Churilla, a powerhouse there with those wicked, wicked looping punches, but it's back to the bread and butter, Dean.
Excellent stuff from Churilla. He threw those punches with conviction, landed some damage, and often you'll see when a fighter gets hurt, he'll initiate the clinch, and that's what Churilla wants. He'll hurt you with those punches and take you down.
I love how Churilla puts the weight down, controls the upper body of Reynolds. Reynolds certainly trying to work back up to his feet here.
Reynolds overwhelmed by the wrestling capabilities of Churilla on the top, landing some nice punches to the face as he tries to stand up.
And Churilla, just a nightmare at that close proximity, Dean.
Again, we see these two athletes fight on the feet. Oh, big overhand right. Reynolds shakes it off.
And Reynolds just looks like he's off for a walk in the park right now. There's not a care in the world, really. That guy is absolutely as tough as they come.
Churilla looking for the takedown. Reynolds coming in with a knee. Working his hips backwards. Churilla able to drive him hard to the cage, using that real powerful frame and wrestling pedigree to get his opponent against the cage where he wants to be and take him down.
Reynolds here against the other end, the opposite end, opposite his corner, and right in front of the Team Titan camp there. No doubt giving careful instructions to Mr. Churilla. Alan Churilla here certainly has been most comfortable in these positions to control and really nullify any offense from his opponent, Dean.
Churilla using that leg, the lead leg there, to drive all the force forward, open up the lower parts of Reynolds and drags the leg out for the takedown. The crowd responds. Reynolds again in this position, being dominated thus far in the wrestling for MMA game. Needs to stuff the head and look for the stand-ups. We know he's got the stand-ups in his arsenal, but the question is now, does cardio play a part? It's really hard when a really heavy, strong wrestler is on top of you, dragging you to the floor.
And Churilla certainly has been very happy to try and inflict damage either from the open or half guard of his opponent throughout this fight. And it's a really difficult strategy to counter when a guy's got that level of control, Dean, on him.
Churilla punching really well and using the top half of his body to use that control like you alleviated to, Chris. He's able just to make Reynolds feel all his weight, and whilst he's trying to maneuver around, he's punching him in the face. Great show of dominating wrestling for MMA by Churilla.
And a great show of respect by both guys there at the end of the round. Churilla breathing heavy, he went in it and really turned on the full throttle throughout to really keep a dangerous guy and a tough guy to finish like Reynolds from being able to capitalize. And clearly, Churilla, having been using that wrestling throughout rounds 1 to 3, probably done enough to win this one on the judges' scorecards, Dean.
Reynolds just unable to get off at that range, committing too much on his strikes and then ending up with his back on the mat, fighting to stand up. Churilla on top, able to dominate. Beautiful wrestling from Churilla. And also, he wasn't afraid to throw those big punches which set up the takedown, which is great tactics here in MMA at The Rock.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 3 rounds of action, we go to the judges' scorecards. And we have a unanimous decision in favor of your winner. From Romania, Alin Chirila.